Very good to have you with us on the programme today. I want to get your response, first of all, to that section of the hearing that we've just played. There was a lot of, I don't recall, from the Directors of National Intelligence and the CIA. Is that surprising, given that, you know, we're within the first sort of 24 hours of this story breaking?
I think they were trying very hard not to make more news and clearly had guided talking points on what they could and couldn't say. So that was part of stating again and again that this was all unclassified information, and then pointing to the Secretary of Defense on numerous occasions with regard to the content of specific information. And I think that that is, again, part of an administration play, some of which we also heard from President Trump and from the National Security Advisor, Michael Waltz. And it's just unfortunate, given the seriousness of this issue, for it to be handled in this way.
And what's your view on the question of this information being classified or not? We've heard President Trump in the last couple of hours backing up what we heard from Tulsi Gabbard and Jim Ratcliffe, saying that it wasn't classified.
So I think the reason they're saying that is because for any of this to be discussed on a non-government app like Signal, essentially an open source messaging service, even if it's encrypted, not suitable for sensitive and certainly not for classified government information. But if, in fact, Secretary of Defense Hegseth provided the kind of information that Jeff Goldberg is reporting he did, and Jeff Goldberg himself has talked about why he did not release that information, but information that was specific to targeting and to weapons, he would have had to take that from the high side, from the classified side, from classified computers, and transmit it in some form. It's not easy to do that. There's not a natural process for it, to put it on unclassified computers. I think or instruments like a phone. I think what they may be suggesting is that that Secretary Hegseth's process of doing that, in effect, declassified the information without going through any formal process of declassification. But I am willing to bet that that is the hook that they're hanging on to suggest that all of this information is, in fact, not classified. None of them push back on the sensitivity of the information. That's when they fell upon the I do not recall.
Mara, can you help us understand how would this type of information usually be discussed among officials of this level?
In rooms that are called secure compartmented information SCIFs. Can't give you the app right now, but in a very secure form. So if you're in person, and for the most sensitive conversations, they almost certainly would be in person, in rooms that are protected from anyone who is outside the room hearing or understanding or knowing the content of what is discussed. And when it's done on computer systems, they are highly classified systems that are impenetrable by anyone outside of those who have access to this classified information. And in government, I will say that when things are done on the high side in this classified system, it means that there are people who are career government employees who are not political appointees of the president who see that information in the course of it being transmitted. It's part of it becoming part of the presidential record, which all communications of this type are meant to be by law. And when they occur on a system like Signal, where they're deleted, you're breaking the rules about laws on what is meant to be archived for the United States government.
And Mara, on Signal itself, we heard President Trump say just in the last hour, he's heard that many people in the military, for example, use Signal. It is end-to-end encrypted. Can it be used on government phones to discuss information if the information was declassified?
So I think it's the nature of the information that is at issue. My understanding is, yes, Signal can now be uploaded on government phones. That was certainly not the case when I was in government. But I actually talked to someone just last night who is a career intelligence person in one of the national security agencies, who acknowledged that he and others use Signal, but he said it's to communicate, frankly, on never on topic of the substance of the work that they do, but just in general to be seen as a more protected form of information. So there's no one who knows, who has access to highly classified information, to sensitive information about the operations of government, who should be communicating about that on Signal. That because it exposes, even though it's encrypted, there are a number of outside actors who can gain access. And in a case like this, with the strike on the Hutus, American lives are at stake, and the lives of our allies, others who are helping us in any way, shape, or form. And I think what this discussion shows is not only the insensitivity and lack of concern about American lives, about those who fight and serve this country, but also about those who have historically been our friends and been with the United States in times of stress and trouble, and willing to willfully kind of disregard those friendships, those relationships. It's deeply troubling.
Okay, Mara, great to get your perspective on this story tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.